I'm standing at the Freedmans Memorial. Located in the heart of Dallas off the North Central Expressway, this memorial carries rich African American history that dates back to the Civil War. This is the Centennial. He is the mighty warrior of the memorial, protecting it from contempt and harm. This is the prophetess, an oral historian that keeps the knowledge of her ancestors' experiences alive. Now, let's go to the past and learn about the deep-rooted history of the Freedmen's Memorial. Along the way, we'll learn why preservation and conservation is such an important task from these two monuments to carry into our deep-rooted future.
The history of Freedman's Town and Memorial. Established in 1869, Freedman Cemetery was first a burial ground for the early African American population in Dallas. Former slaves had inhabited Freedman's Town, now known as North Dallas, shortly after the Civil War until the 1970s. This town had one of the largest, thriving, segregated African American enclaves in the country. In the 1930s, North Central Expressway was constructed through the cemetery, eliminating all physical above-ground remnants. The highway was expanded in the late 1930s, further diminishing the available land. As a result, an estimated number of 7,000 graves were buried below the highway. Only 1,000 of those graves were able to be relocated, but thousands remain underground and unmarked. The Freedmen's Memorial Park and Cemetery was built in 1965 through an agreement between the City of Dallas and the descendants of the individuals buried. The Memorial Park commemorates the significant contributions of the African American community to the growth and development of Dallas, as well as to pay homage to the disturbed graves.
The inspiration was the legacy that this represents for the community of Dallas, and specifically African Americans who have ancestors that were buried there. A memorial unlike any other freedom memorial in the country. We set our standards very, very high. So the inspiration was the individuals that really sacrificed for all of us to be here and to be able to do this. And also for that too, although I'm not from Dallas, I share that legacy in terms of my family and families of other African Americans around the country. State Senator Royce West was critical. He was very essential to really ensuring that the state of Texas was able to step up appropriately. At the time, Mayor Ron Kirk, mayor of Dallas, at the time was working very diligently to make sure that Dallas, and they did what they could and should do. Concord Missionary Baptist Church spiritually was very supportive, but also was very supportive in terms of financial contribution. Concord Missionary Baptist Church was the largest individual contributor to Freedmen's Memorial.
Now that we know the history of Freedmen's Town, Freedmen's Cemetery, and the development of the Freedmen's Memorial, let's explore this magnificent landmark. These two soul-stirring pieces were created by David Newton in 1999. Violated Soul. It symbolizes the violation of African women, and the degrading nature of slavery-covered faces represents the loss of personal identity experienced by the enslaved person. This is Struggling Soul, and it symbolizes the enslaved African resistance to slavery and their constant struggle for freedom. It doesn't just stop there. This centerpiece is also created by David Newton of the same year. This is The Dream of Freedom. It portrays an emancipated couple contemplating the death and suffering of their ancestors. The man's back contains lashes representing the whipping that African American slaves endured during their time in slavery. Not only does the Freedmen's Memorial show beautiful centerpieces and statues with a painful history, along the walls it also showcases poems that were created by students. This is great because it gets Dallas involved in the community. It also showcases and brings attention to a lot of history that people do not know.
A life to celebrate. Sweet-sounding voices of our ancestors cry, "O little black children, our own, please hear, so you may know the weary-filled years which set you here. Hope could not pass you by. This life was hard, so you, child, would apply to enjoy life, those things we hold so dear, not simply to toil, struggle, and to fear. Offspring, learn now the road we had to buy, our spirits strong, living, rising like air, proud, intelligent you are, and you are, celebrating life to show you care. Never forget your past, those souls martyred, for no one is promised sweet life is fair, but unto all the duty is to falter never. Ramel Derrick, 1995.
During the development of the North Central Expressway, many tombstones were lost. Emma McCune, born an enslaved woman on June 29, 1855, died 48 years later on May 5, 1903, as a free woman. Hers was one of the 2 tombstones that remained intact when excavated from the rubble of the road. It's displayed set in pink marble in the center of the memorial, with the inscription, "Gone from our home, but not from our hearts." It is important to cherish and acknowledge the stories of people like Emma McCune, who endured a life of hardship, followed by the unrest and the disturbance of their burial grounds. In remembrance of the thousands of unmarked African American ancestors buried here underneath the North Central Expressway, in this poem by Nia Kimbo titled "Here," it acknowledges and pays homage to the presence and experiences of their hardships. A truly moving line within the poem reads, "As the present tightens itself about our necks, disarmed, finally, now harmless, we discover among these embattled warriors, friend, cousin, brother, no longer buried but at rest, not buried but sweet with peace, as life is sown from death, here." In the more recent years, the Freedmans Memorial has become a place of healing for the Black lives in Dallas, which is why it is important to continue educating and maintaining the history of Black lives that have crossed through this cemetery. For future generations to come, this landmark will be a constant reminder of thriving Black town before the city, Freedman's Town. Come and visit the Freedmans Memorial Park and Cemetery and appreciate the lives that have helped Dallas grow into the booming city it is now.
I'd like to see it sitting on a very high platform. I would like this to be a memorial and a place for people individually to reflect. It will be a sacred park, a sacred place for everyone, particularly for African Americans. As a result of that, you'll have individuals and families coming to share in that moment. But also, I would like it to be a place where people use history as a platform. When you look at the memorial and you see what we've been able to do, the idea of linking in the African heritage, the warrior, the griot, with slavery, and then moving to the story of 2 people united, trying to see what they're going to do with emancipation. The reflection of all of that is sacred. So what we like to see is Freedman's Memorial being a place, a national place where people come as a destination, as part of their visit to Dallas or part of their visit just to the memorial, to really be inspired, to be inspired by history, to be inspired by the excellence of what they see, to be inspired by the individual stories. You asked about how can people become engaged, and I think that was correct. But the first thing is to go there. We need to make sure, because once you go, everything I'm saying to you is nice and wonderful, but that doesn't really work. I mean, the key thing people have to do is go there, and what will happen is they will come out with ideas and things that they can do.
The Freedmans Memorial Park is a sacred place dedicated to not only the memorial of the lives lost and their lineage, but also to the community and creative achievements that have made it what it is today. Thank you to the State of Texas, City of Dallas Parks and Recreation, UNT Dallas Division of University Advancement, UNT Dallas Foundation, and of course to you, because together we must continue to move forward. For more information on how you can get involved, visit www.dallasparks.org. Be the change.